Bomberman, the hudsonsoft mascot character created by Shinichi Nakamoto and Shigeki Fujiwara in the 1980s. The original Bomberman games played like a maze, where you have to defeat every enemy on the board and uncover a door afterward to advance to the next level. It's no secret that the Bomberman series was a smash hit, especially in Japan, where they had a myriad of Bomberman games that we never saw in the US. At least we got Hero for the 64 though. That soundtrack changed my life. One game that the US did get was Bomberman Fantasy Race for the PlayStation. As you may have guessed, it's a racing game where you compete with creatures from the series called Louies and Tiras. While the Bomberman character you select doesn't matter, the Louies and Tiras have different stats based on speed, jump, dash, and stamina. The starting Louie and Tira are beginners with low stats. They're pretty much only meant to be used until you save up enough money from completing races to buy newer, faster Louie and Tiras. Between the two, the Green Louie has the lowest stats in the game, with a 1 in almost every category except for dash, at least in the Japanese version. But really, who's to say that just because your stats are low you can't compete with the best of them? Not me. I have total faith in the strapping young lad. So, let's see if you can beat Bomberman Fantasy Race only using Green Louie. For this challenge, I'm going to try and beat every track in the one-player mode. To aid the Green Louie on this journey, I went with the Black Bomberman, simply because he's cool. I also chose to play on the Japanese version, not only for the potential stat differences from the US release I mentioned earlier, but because in this version, everything is far cheaper and easier to unlock. Allow me to explain. You earn Bomberman coins when you finish a race in the top 3, which can be used to not only purchase new creatures, but also to unlock new tracks and buy items that you can load out with at the start of the race. There's a huge difference between the two versions when it comes to the amount you need to buy things. So this is kind of like Tim's discount prices versus Eric's premium prices. As you can imagine with the title Fantasy Race, this isn't a typical mascot racing game. I'll briefly go over some of the most notable and unique things before this challenge gets started. At the starting line before the race begins, you can get a running start to give yourself an advantage, but if you cross too early, the race will restart. Each character has an unlimited amount of bombs they can hurl at each other, and the distance you throw bombs is dependent on how long you hold them for. If you time it just right and throw a bomb right in front of yourself, you can actually jump into it for a nice speed boost. There's other items you can get by running through these question mark squares. Some of them will be useful, and others will curse you. As far as I know, it's random what you'll get, and your position in a race seemingly has no influence. There's also egg squares you can run into, which will give Louie speed boosts and Tira's invincibility. You can stack 3 eggs for an increased buff timer. Items and eggs can be held until you use them, but if you're hit by an attack, run into a wall, or fall off a ledge, they'll drop from your inventory. Louies and Tiras also have a stamina meter. Stamina depletes when you dash and refills when you stop. If your stamina is completely depleted, it'll take longer to replenish. In most tracks, you can find a catapult on a wall that will give you a large speed boost if you bounce off of it. You can also bounce off walls regularly if you need to. That should about cover everything that's out of the ordinary. So let's begin. The first race available to us is Bomber Circuit. It's a simple track with 1 catapult, and that's pretty much it. When controlling the Green Louie, I noticed that it turns very awkwardly. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to control, but it definitely felt a bit slippery. I won this race on my first try and got sent to a bonus level as a reward, where I had to run through the track again and collect as many Bomberman coins as I could. With my winnings, I had more than enough money to unlock the next track, Bomber Coaster Lake. This amusement park track had a lot more happening, with ledge hazards, fair, and a catapult that leads to a shortcut with enough speed. But good luck trying to utilize it, because the in-air controls are wonky, and the camera angle can get all messed up, which just makes things worse. Despite biffing the shortcut in the second and third laps, I still won by a fair distance. After taking my victory lap, I purchased a ticket to Waka Island beachside, and got a little too eager to roam the sands. Midway through the beach, you can take a shortcut in this cave, but like Bomber Coaster Lake shortcut, this one had its flaws. I think it's mostly because I needed to slow down too much to enter it. There's another shortcut that can apparently be taken by jumping on these pillars by the ship, though I wasn't bold enough to try. Entering the third lap, I activated a stopwatch to freeze everyone for a few seconds, and got a sizable lead with it, which was nearly ruined after I accidentally took a little dip. But after drying off, I won the race and collected some more coins. Per ticket prices, the next track was supposed to be Bakuzan Ski Course, but I bought a ticket to Star Express instead because I can't read Japanese and was flush with cash. Star Express gives gives off future Funland vibes from Diddy Kong Racing, not only in its appearance, but with these electric shocks and alien laser blasts, both of which will stun you for a bit if you're hit. The shock I took in the first lap was almost a major setback, so I made sure to avoid it in the second and third laps, which caught me back up in time to snag another win. I skipped over the ski course again in favor of Dyna Mountain. Seconds in, I'm introduced to a large minefield and the Abyss of Destiny. I brushed those off and missed a jump near this little river, which actually turned out to be a shortcut. After slamming into a bunch of walls and not heeding Mr. Boss's warning of trying to go beyond the rickety bridge, I completed my first lap, far behind most of my peers. The next 2 laps were spent righting my previous wrongs, for the most part. Shit. Thanks to the power of Father Time, I was able to smooth out this rough race and finish in first. That's 5 first-place finishes in a row, but I mean, who's counting? Next stop is finally the snowy mountains and Bakuzan ski course. Now, riddle me this. What do you get when you put an already slippery creature into an equally slippery snow track? I don't know, I just wanted to say riddle me this. But the two don't mix well. For clarification, the entire track isn't like that, just a few icy sections. Aside from the ice, this track has a few jumps to clear, which are hard to mess up, regardless of a few rookie mistakes. I was on track to grab a 6th first place first try finish. Just 2 catapults to clear, and I was good to go. That is malarkey.
No talent!
No! My streak! My streak! Well, I guess it's time to rewind and see where I went wrong. At this moment in time, it looked like I was strategically hit by a bomb, but the blast was a bit off. It could have also just been me not pressing the jump button in time, causing a crash into the wall. Whether it was a god-tier bomb throw or low-tier gameplay, the streak was dead, and I had to try again. It could have been much worse, though. I mean, it's not like my Louie randomly stopped to take a crap in the middle of the race. Oh yeah, you sorta saw that right. On a rare occasion when you grab an item, you'll get this pink poo, and then your Louie drops trow and lays down a sloppy mud pie and doesn't even try to wipe up after. The number 2 deluxe unlocked a series of unfortunate events for me for the rest of the race. Now that was a choke. And just like that, it's over. My third try, though, was another open dump to behold. Instead of crapping on the floor, I got crapped on by the CPUs and their perfectly timed attacks. I'm not losing this Bomberman fantasy race, so help me God. What is your problem? What is happening right at the very end? What the It only took one more attempt to get through this thing in a race that wasn't even close. I suppose there had to be some kind of conflict, because now all that leaves is the final track in Bomber Castle. And what better way to finish this off than racing against the fastest Louie in the game? The start of the castle had me feeling like I was playing Super Monkey Ball the way I was sliding around everywhere. What the Everything is suddenly really slippery. Holy crap. After moving past all that, there's 2 branching paths up ahead. But what you can't see right away is the void of despair that you have to jump over if you choose the path on the right. If you manage to make it through, the next obstacles are floating bombs, switches that'll cause explosions which will definitely hit you, and a minefield to wrap it all up. We're basically racing on a track mostly based off a classic Bomberman maze, which is really cool, but also not because of the blockiness and sharp turns you have to make. Avoiding the corners and walls in the castle was not the easiest task for me, and apparently also not for some of the CPUs either. On more than one occasion, I saw this pink Tira slowly moving through this portion of the maze. Can't blame him for wanting to take it slow and steady. I was doing so bad that I already lost the race a little over midway through the final lap. It was very clear that this was going to take some time to get used to this track. Cue the struggle montage. They all have different stats, and this one has the lowest stats in the game. Good lord, it's so hard to control. And we are really far behind. Oh, come on! Oh my god, this is so crazy! Great. We got cursed. All right, I'm not giving up. But, okay. Okay, I am giving up. I'll say this in the nicest way possible. In my opinion, this track is poorly designed and unoptimized for this game. Maybe it was the way my Louie controlled that made it hard. Hell, it could have been me or a mixture of both. But Bomberman Fantasy Race was not meant to have these sharp corners protruding everywhere and turns that basically require you to come to a near stop to move through. For the branching paths, it looked like they wanted you to jump off these signs, but wall jumps can be kinda janky and don't always work out the way you planned. It's definitely better to just slow down and turn. After some time, the air bombs and minefield aren't too hard to avoid, but what's with the switches that cause the explosions down the straight path? It seems as though they were meant to sabotage the others behind you, but 9 times out of 10, you get yourself caught up in the blast too. On top of all this, you gotta try and play catch up with Crazy Legs over here. Despite it all, I'd start getting second place consistently, and that was still with wall hugging and cliff jumping included. More and more, I saw myself trailing behind the Black Louie, inching closer to victory. Soon enough, I'd reveal my ace in the hole, or at least RNG had me covered. The trusty stopwatch. 1 or 2 of these babies in a race would give me more than enough time to catch up and win. That was a good start. Not that, though. That was not. Okay, maybe not one, but another stopwatch in the second lap and some schmoovin' around the edgy corners would be just what I needed to bring this home. Oh, Louie, come on. Win! Yes! After winning, I get what I assume is some congratulatory text, and with the credits and animation rolling in after, I prove that you cannot beat Bomberman Fantasy Race only using the Green Louie because it's mirror mode time. Oh yeah, the age-old classic post-game content for racing games. Actually, this time it's not post-game content because when you beat a track, you unlock the mirrored version, and the ticket prices for them are pricier. But if you stack cheese as high as I do, you should have no problem forking over a little extra dough. So I got my ticket for Bomber Circuit, and right when the track loaded, I was greeted by not only the Black Louie again, but King Tira, the best Tira in the game. I think the first 5 seconds here can give you all a good idea of how this race was about to end. Even with a running start and exhausting all my stamina, Lou here didn't hold a candle to the others. There was no mercy shown for a plucky Green Louie just trying to make a name for himself. So what can be done here? My first thought was stopwatches, but those are random and I can't put all of my faith in RNG. Then my second thought was finally utilizing the items you can buy before the race begins. I hadn't really needed them up until now, so maybe there was something there to give me an edge. First I tried out the roller shoes, which increased my speed for almost 10 seconds, but that didn't work out too well. Then I set my sights on the heart, which maxes out your stamina meter and keeps it full for a short time. This helped a little bit, but it still wasn't quite enough. It was clear that items alone weren't going to be the deciding factor in winning this race, and that's when I learned about bomb boosting. I mentioned it earlier in the video, but when you throw your own bomb in front of you and jump through the blast at just the right time, you'll get a decent speed boost. It's not the easiest trick to pick up, but if I could pull it off consistently, I'd blow this race wide open. No pun intended. So I put myself to work, and for the next 2 hours in this race, I slowly became a bomb-boosting, heart-consuming machine fueled by caffeine and spite. While toiling away, I noticed in one spot where the egg signs are, you can grab 2 at once. And if you activate it hard at the right time and bang 3 eggs while you're at max stamina, then right as the heart wears off, you can use the 3 eggs to keep the momentum rolling. But even with bomb boosts, egg maxing, and some extra hearts, it still seemed like first place was just out of reach. If only there was an item I could use to stop time for a few seconds. In the third lap on a good run, I got a stopwatch. I almost reached first place with it, but King Tira crushed those dreams after its effects wore off. Though not too long after, and I'm just now realizing this in post, the King Tira stopped to take a crap. And well, you'll just have to see how the rest of this plays out. In a crazy twist of events, the deciding factors in this win would not only be based upon decent gameplay, but one large dookie in the circuit and a snipe to steal the win. It was almost poetic the way that my stream crashed minutes after I got this win. My heart would have been broken if I didn't capture this moment on camera. That was just one race down though, 6 more to go. Bomber Coaster Lake wasn't as nearly as much of a pain as Bomber Circuit. I think that's possibly because there's hazards, which the CPUs will sometimes fall into. But to make up for that, they executed perfectly timed attacks all throughout this track. At any point I was above 5th place. Oh, never mind. Oh, what the man, come on. All the tricks I learned in Bomber Circuit played a pivotal role in helping me attain this win. The only thing that didn't was this track's shortcut. Even though it was easier to access while mirrored, using it hardly made a difference while up against some of the best creatures in the game. I saved my hearts for the final lap, where I saw myself in first place after a stopwatch and catapult launch. I snagged 2 eggs and used my heart right after, but then got cursed with an item that slowed me down. King Tira was close by, and so was the finish line. There was only one thing I could do now. Well, last ditch. Yay! With how quickly King Tira came up from behind me after crossing the finish line, I have almost no doubt that if I missed that bomb boost, I would have lost. My return to Waka Island beachside was fairly pleasant. The shortcut here was still not really worth taking, and I made a half-hearted attempt to try the one by the pillars with no luck. But I won the race after only a handful of tries, and of course with the help of one specific item hitting in the final lap at the perfect time. Yay! Let's go. Bakuzan Ski Course was a track I was worried about going into again, and having slipped and fell into the icy waters almost immediately after the race started was a bad omen. The slipping just added on to the agony, because the CPUs were playing dirty, calculated games again. Right before. Oh my god! And I added a couple of goofy moments myself. Why do they have to make it such a theatrical mistake? I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't move. I was experiencing mixed emotions like you may have seen near the Louie stamina bar. There was happy, tense, angry, and whatever this is. Maybe it can stand for the crap I made for the second time in the same spot. I did learn how to cut some of these long turns better by pressing on and off on the dash as I made my turn. This helped me move up a few positions from time to time since the CPUs usually make wide turns around here. Honestly though, there weren't a lot of moments in this race where victory seemed certain. Even when I ended up winning, I was sure in the moment that I was doomed because I didn't get a stopwatch as my final item. Last. No, there's no way. There's no way. Oh! Holy crap, we did it! Before I get into Star Express, I do want to make a quick mention that my Louie crapped a third time near the same spot. So Star Express ended up being one of the easiest races out of the mirrored bunch. This was because of the shortcut in it. I missed it in my first run through because I just never saw it, but it was open and easily viewable in mirror mode. And the best part, none of the CPUs take it, and it skips a sizable portion of the track. I had never seen a lead so large between me and everyone else in mirror mode, but even then, they caught back up quick, so any mistakes or zaps would have knocked me down a place or two. Good thing I didn't have to worry about that. Dyna Mountain took me by surprise too. This one doesn't have as large of a shortcut in it, but I won pretty quickly just because I played better. And I mean, there were no stopwatches, bomb boosts, I even got cursed a few times. But I played fair and true, and that turned out to be all I needed. Bomber Castle was now all that stood between me and victory, well also a hefty bill of 10,000 Bomberman coins. Another win in Star Express would change that though. I can only imagine how much I'd be grinding if I played on the English version. I was stumbling around the castle again, but notice the CPUs were too. They had never been so close to me, and I wasn't doing anything special to warrant that. I'm telling you, this track is too ambitious for its own good. After resetting, I hit first place on the second lap and kissed the competition goodbye. Such an odd ending to a run that gave me such a headache in the earlier courses. At this point, I have to start counting my anticlimactic end of the challenge run finishes. It seems like they happen far too often. The credits roll through again, but this time we get to see the black and white Bomberman whisked away in a gold limo filled with cash and chilled champagne. I'd say this ending is proof enough that you can beat Bomberman Fantasy Race only using Green Louie. Thank you all so much. Ooh, I bet you thought I was done. I mean, I did too, until someone in my chat asked if I completed the secret track on a completely different stream. Did you beat the secret stage in Bomberman Fantasy? Highway Star Road is the secret final track, which is unlocked after beating every track in the game and after purchasing every Louie and Tira. After doing all this and having 5,656 Bomberman coins or more, Highway Star Road will become available. This only required a little bit of grinding. Thankfully, Star Express Mirrored is an easy race that gives a huge payout. This is also where I again have to thank the Japanese version of this game for being so cheap. The Black Louie and King Tira in the US version cost 100,000 and 150,000 Bomberman coins. Here, they're only 10,000 each. Highway Star Road also costs 100,000 Bomberman coins in the US version too. I guess they were really pushing it to get your money's worth. This track had me sweating a little bit. It's just one giant oval with no hazards, no catapults, and no shortcuts. All the things that were key elements in almost every win I had. I was left up to bomb boosting and praying that I got blessed with stopwatches. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait too long for my prayers to be answered by the sweet Bomberman in the sky. Oh my god. Not good. Yes! Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Alright! Alright, that's it. Woo! Stopwatches and luck won this one. I'm not even ashamed to admit it. But that's everything completed with the Green Louie. Thank you all so much for watching. I had no idea what I was getting into with this game. It was a classic case of they had me in the first half, but I should have known better than that. The Green Louie was slow, but he had a lot of heart. And at the end of the day, isn't that what's most important? Actually, there's someone else out there who has heart that gave this run a go before me named Ari-chan, and they pull off some insane tricks and strats that I've never even thought to try. It's worth the watch. So if you want to see even more Green Louie goodness, I'll leave a link to their video in the description. I've seen Fantasy Race get mixed reviews online, and to give my opinion, I think it's somewhere in the mid-tier of racing games. It's not bad, but the atrocious handling and complete randomness of all the items holds this game back. Like, I should not be getting cursed items in 4th and 5th place. That just ain't right. However, if you like Bomberman, you'll have a fun time with it. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, I stream all of my challenge runs live on my Twitch channel and here on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitch. The link to my Twitch channel, along with links to my other social media accounts, can be found in the description. If there's a challenge run you'd like to see, you can also check out the description for a direct link where you can submit your ideas. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video. Oops. You have to put the Brickster's dick in your mouth down at the jail.